Hi guys, this is a little bit of a different video for me. My name is Eric, also known as the Dad 419, mainly on Mixer as well as Twitter. I'm a video game streamer and content creator, but today we're coming to you with a little bit something different. We are going to be sewing a mask today based off of instructions that are posted down below in the description from a hospital that my sister works at. So these masks are good for you if you are running to the store or if you have time and ability and material to sew for someone else or sew for a hospital. These masks are not medical grade, but they are good enough to go over top of an N95 mask that will allow them to extend the life of the N95 mask for our medical professionals. This comes from my sister's hospital. She's a respiratory therapist, so we're taking a break from streaming today to kind of go through this. So down in the description below, you'll see a link. It's going to have directions and a pattern. These are the two main pieces of the pattern. We've got section A and section B. We already have them cut out so that we can skip that step. As you can see, it is literally the same pattern for A and B. A just extends a little bit longer because it's what we're going to use to either use elastic or ribbon to make your earpieces. Something important about this is a 2-inch square. It is to check the dimensions of your fabric or of your stencil. You want to make sure that it is 2 inches by 2 inches, the square in real life, so when you print it out that it doesn't have the wrong size on it. Also, this is the grain line. It goes up and down and left to right, exactly perpendicular on this stencil. You want to make sure you line up your fabric grain line perfectly with that. Lastly, you're going to cut out 2 pieces of A and 2 pieces of the smaller B. It's easiest to use a stencil pencil, a sewing pencil, such as this. I used blue on my pink masks and white on my blue masks so you can see it better. You just trace around it, cut out your 2 pieces at the same time. And then also, if you notice, both of these have a 1/4 inch seam allowance and a fold line so that we can kind of hide our seams. A 1/4 inch seam allowance means that we're going to be using the edge of our sewing foot for all of our seams. Today we're only going to be using a straight stitch, and then temporarily or just momentarily we're going to be using a zigzag stitch as we do the nose piece. A lot of times what you're going to use for the nose piece is going to be a piece of wire, whether that's gardening wire, a paper clip, or a pipe cleaner. Those are the most common things right now. Elastic is hard to come by, so we will also be using ribbon today. Just to show you guys what we mean about the 1/4 inch. So we're going to switch over to our sewing machine here, and we're going to get you guys up close and personal with it. So as you can see down here on the foot, there are different widths on here as it tries to autofocus for us. 1/4 inch is going to be the edge of your foot on either side. So all of our sewing today is going to be done at the 1/4 inch mark. There's really nothing that we're going to do bigger than that. We may do a few seams smaller than that. Like I said, I've already cut out our pieces. This is our A, our larger side. You want to make it the darker color. This is going to be our B, our lighter side, 2 pieces of the lighter color. They do match up perfectly. I also have a 3-inch piece of pipe cleaner pre-cut, as well as 48 inches of ribbon. This is what we're going to use to tie it around. I also recommend having something to run your ribbon through at the end, but 48 inches is your measurement on the ribbon. So we're going to get started here. It's going to be a little bit of a difficult or different sewing posture for me. I've made 4 masks. I am by no means an expert at sewing. I have not sewn since I was in middle school, and that has been more years than we want to talk about. But I was able to pick it back up yesterday, and I now have made 4 masks, and I just want to share this with you guys because it's something little that we can all do, whether it's protecting ourselves when we go out and shop, protecting other people as we're out getting our essentials, or if you have the ability and resources, like I said, to donate to a local hospital. This is something that one hospital has approved to be used with the N95 masks. So we're going to get into it here. Everything we're going to do is a straight stitch today, except for the pipe cleaner. We're going to use a zigzag. I'm going to show you my settings on the sewing machine real quick. So we have a tension between 3 and 4. All of our straight stitches are going to be at a 0 here. And our stitch length is set between 2 and 3 with a straight stitch currently. The only time we're going to switch that, we're going to switch this to a zigzag stitch when we are doing our pipe cleaner. So we're going to go ahead and get into it here. Again, we're going to reset that camera. We're going to start with our big piece. Make sure our strings are out the back. One issue I have run into a few times is that I am bad about making sure I have enough string out the back to not pull when my needle goes up, and I have unthreaded my needle myself a few times. So just something to kind of warn you guys about. Again, I am 1/4 inch seam allowance, so everything I do as we follow this curve is going to go right along this foot edge. One other thing, my back stitch on this machine is this button right here. So I'll do press that every time you hear me say I'm back stitching. We're going to back stitch most of the starts and all of the ends of our seams to make sure that they're nice and tight and strong. So we're going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to go kind of slow because we're doing a video. If you are confident in your stitching, obviously you can go faster. And as we progress through the video, we will probably pick up a little bit of speed just to show you guys. But we just follow this along. Because our stitch length is between a 2 and a 3, it moves pretty decently as we are doing it. It should move it by itself. Your main job here is going to be just to guide this and continue to follow the curve to the left. And as we get down to the end here, we're going to get ready to do a back stitch on it. So we come down to the end here, back stitch that a few stitches, come back forward and stop and lift. And we are going to trim that off. I like to trim all my threads off too from the beginning of my stitching as we go. So you will see me pause often, trim off these extra threads so that it's nice and clean as we're moving through this. We don't have any extra thread just kind of laying around. It makes it easier for me to continue to work. So that was our side A, our exterior piece. We're going to do the same thing with our B side, the interior piece, your lighter color. The reason that we do 2 colors is because if you are donating these to a nursing staff, a hospital, somebody, they will like to reuse them. They flip them around to extend the life of their N95 mask. So they'll use it one side for one patient and another side for another patient. It is the N95 does most of the protecting, but this keeps their N95 clean of germs from the other patient. These are reusable if you're making them for somebody. If you follow the link in the description, as she says, most of these are going to get used 3 times or less and then probably thrown away. So if you are making them to donate, go ahead and use it like you know it's going to be thrown away. That means it doesn't have to be perfect all the time because they're probably going to only use it a couple times and then dispose of it. These are not going to be washed most of the time to be reused. So with that knowledge, you know that you don't really have to continuously be on your game about all of your stitches being perfect. Okay, so one thing that I did see in the video that I have been doing, as you take this, as you can see our seam right along here, I've been going through and just snipping right along here. You don't get all the way to the seam that you just sewed, but you cut this little bit here to help it bend more when we do put it together. And then the same thing on your bigger piece. This is the nose part. It will be interior. We're sewing all the insides like you do most sewing projects, but this helps it kind of give it some give and flexibility as you sew it together. Okay, so we're going to switch back over here. We're going to fold our seams in here. As we're doing all of our work on the inside of the piece, we're going to take these and open this up and fold this in to the fold line. If you remember on our masks here, they both say fold line right there on the edge. So it's just that little bit of a fold inward to give your mask a clean seam. It doesn't have to be a full 1/4 inch. It can be whatever you're able to sew. For me, it's been more like an 1/8 inch. Just something to keep it clean on the seam. And it doesn't have to be perfect because, again, this is just going to be to keep it clean on the seam. So we get that one sewn with a little bit of back stitch. We're going to come through and do the same thing on this side. Fold it just a little bit here. drop the foot down on it so it progresses. Make sure our fold goes all the way down. Sometimes if you're doing a little fold, it likes to unfold a little bit. But we'll try to get this right. There we go. Again, these don't have to be perfect. You're just making this to make sure that you're protected, the people around you are protected, or if you're donating, that they have that extra protection. So don't get hung up on it being perfect all the time. If you're getting the seams done and stitched in there well, then that's good enough. Sometimes I have to make sure that I have all my string coming back the right direction here. It helps your fabric kind of go the right direction as your foot moves and not get all tangled up. We're going to move on over to our smaller interior piece, but do the same thing. Fold it in towards where the inner seam is. Again, this video is just to show you guys how easy it is to do your part and help out. Whether you're protecting yourself, your family, or you're donating. Any of these things are things that you can do as an average, ordinary person if you have access to a sewing machine with very little effort, very little skill. My skill level is definitely on the low end of sewing, and it's not taking me an extraordinary amount of time to make a mask. If you do it where you're making multiple masks at the same time, I would highly recommend cutting out all of your masks at once, and then moving on to sewing all of the step 1 at once, sewing all of the step 2 at once. It'll make it go much faster for you. Like unbelievably faster, because the cutting out is what I did earlier, and it is one of the most time-consuming parts, just because you're making sure that your fabric is cut the right way. So we're going to get this last little seam here sewn and move on to the next step. Make sure we backstitch at the end here to secure it. And we'll cut that. And like I said, I've been trimming all my strings as we go, so you'll see me pause, trim off my strings, toss them to the side here in my scrap pile. Same thing on this side that we just sewed, come through and trim up my strings. This is the inside of the mask, so it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to get rid of most of this when you turn it inside out. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and take your masks, turn your one, I like to take the inside piece, you're going to turn it so the seam is pushed inwards, so you have a nice clean line here. This is going to be your nose bridge. I have a little bit of string sticking up there. Like I said, I like to keep all my stuff nice and trimmed. That's just me though. You're going to take your other piece here, and it should line up perfectly. You want to take the inside to the inside and line up your edges so that your outside, your piece A and your piece B, your outside and your inside line up nice and well, because we're going to sew these tops together next. So you take this, make sure it lines up on both sides. It should match pretty evenly depending on how well you cut it. Mine does, as long as I am holding it the right way. We're going to come down in here and we're going to make sure our strings are to the back, and we'll go from scratch. Again, you guys are just watching a very novice person who has not sewn for years make a mask. So it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to always be pretty. They turn out pretty good at the end, but the steps to get there are sometimes a little shaky. But again, this isn't about being perfect. This is about doing your part and finding a way to protect yourself, your family, or helping out a bigger cause than yourself and your family if you have the means, the time, or the resources. So we're going to drop our foot right on that 1/4 inch mark, right on the edge of the foot. We start right at the bridge of the nose across the top. We're going to come down, and we're going to get right down to where this is. So we're going to come down to here. We're going to backstitch across the top of the nose a little bit, and just follow this 1/4 inch mark all the way down to where the interior is. Now I can feel it, you can't see it, but you can kind of see it if you're sewing in person through there. You want to hit right on that seam, backstitch, and come back and lift up. And we take this here and cut. And we're going to do the same thing, come around the other side, clear out our string here. Sometimes I get one extra string down in here. Again, I'm just a rookie at this, but we got it all figured out here. We're going to come back through and do the same thing on the other side. You want to make sure that you are lined up down this side as well. So you make sure that you got it all lined up and you drop it underneath the foot at that quarter inch mark right on the edge of the foot there. And keep it lined up nicely here. This is the part that I like to make sure is real good because you're going to be sewing your pipe cleaner or paper clip or whatever fabric or material you have up there. So we just kind of double check that and come right down this quarter inch mark here and backstitch that, and then lift up our needle and pull that off the back and snap that off. We're going to trim up our top strings, then we're going to come back around and do the bottom, the same idea. If somebody is on this video and you see me getting this double string across the bottom, feel free to drop a note as to why that's happening. I am still new at this whole sewing thing. I'm going to be making some masks for the better cause here, and we're just going to trim up our strings real quick. Again, this isn't going to be pretty. It's not always perfect. It will turn out pretty nice at the end, but we're just making sure that everyone has the means to protect themselves or help out other people. Okay, so across the bottom here, it is a pretty straightforward mark, so you probably can go straight across. I have had pretty good luck with going straight across as long as you are lined up well. You want to drop your foot right on that quarter mark again, right on the edge, and you're going to come down. The only part that you have to kind of change at is right here in the nose piece. You're going to change your angle just a little bit. So we're going to start here, and we're going to backstitch that, and then come right on down the straight line of the bottom of the mask. We're going to slow it down so we can line up this part as we make this little bit of a curve and turn it around this way and continue to go down the mask at that quarter inch mark. We get down here, we backstitch that in, and then there we go. We've got the bottom of the mask sewn together. So we're really getting there as far as where this goes. Now I added in a step just to clean it up on the last mask I did, and I really liked how it turned out, so we're going to do that extra step here in a second. I know you're probably thinking, well, you're kind of a rookie, so why would you add in a step? And it was just because of how it looked. I'm just a sucker for clean lines, and so I just added in one extra little step here to make it a little bit cleaner. Just give me a second here, I'm trimming up some of my strings. We're doing this video completely unedited so you guys can see a real time how long it takes somebody that's only made a handful of masks to make it. There will be no, the only thing that we didn't do was pre-cut. Or the only thing we did was pre-cut some fabric so that there wasn't extra time spent on video doing fabric. So one thing that I'd like to do is kind of come through at the end, and I do this part here because we're going to flip this around. So once we flip this around, we're going to sew it in so that it's easier, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But next we're going to do our pipe cleaner. So this is where we're going to take our, pardon the camera movement, we're going to take our camera over here and show you guys. We're going to switch to a zigzag stitch. You're going to come up here and extend your stitch width to around a 4 or 5, and if you come back down here, you can kind of see as I adjust this, you can see the needle move in and out, in and out. So we're going to get it to where it needs to be. And what that means for this is that we take this pipe cleaner, we're going to try to pair it up almost as perfectly as we can right in that seam allowance. You want to get your middle right at the tip of the nose. You're going to try to get it right in that seam allowance so that there's not a whole lot of the pipe cleaner hanging over the seam down here. And it's kind of difficult to do. It's easier once it's laying flat. So I kind of get this lined up, bring my pipe cleaner in, make sure that I've got the tip of the nose so it's pretty even. And then I'm going to make sure that I have it lined up pretty good here and drop the foot. Again, we are doing this completely unedited, so if I screw up, I screw up. It's just kind of one of those things where I haven't really had too many issues yet, but we have run into a few snags here and there before. So you're going to do the same thing that you always do to start. You're going to start your stitching, and you can see it hopping over, and you backstitch that a little bit. And then, for some reason, we ran into this last time too. We start to not progress forward. So we're going to pause for a second and cut the string and restart. We got our stitch length and everything right, but with this pipe cleaner, sometimes it's not progressing it forward with the foot. And it's probably something that I am doing wrong. I'm not going to lie. It probably has nothing to do with like how you do this or anything. So we're going to lay our mask back out and try again with this pipe cleaner. This is just kind of to show you guys what you may run into as far as issues go. Yeah, it is definitely the pipe cleaner that is slowing us down here. So we haven't had this issue too many times, but we have had this issue a few times. So we're going to cut off our strings. We're going to start over here with the pipe cleaner. And we're going to try to come from the other side maybe. Try it this way. So we're going to come in on this edge, and we're going to extend out our width of our stitch a little bit because maybe we're just hitting that pipe cleaner too hard. So we're going to try it from this side. There we go. So you can see we want to make sure we are zigzagging over top of that pipe cleaner, and you're not hitting it with your stitching. And then you got to turn your mask a little bit as you get towards the peak, and then come to the end. And then we're going to backstitch a little bit, and that should be good. It doesn't take a whole lot to hold your pipe cleaner in, and then we'll have show our stitching here in a second. Again, this is going to be on the inside of the mask, so it doesn't have to look super pretty. It just has to be functional. So you can see there is the stitching of the zigzag across the pipe cleaner. Zoom out a little bit, and then on the back side you can see the zigzag again. It is all on the inside though, so then you have your bendability of your nose piece to kind of put it around you, and since it's on the inside it won't poke your nose. Okay, so then once we do that, it is time to flip it inside out. You want to be careful as you flip it inside out to not over-exert any pressure on your pipe cleaner. Don't bend it the wrong way. Not that you can't bend it back, but it is a pipe cleaner. It's not super, super durable. It's good enough to hold over your nose, but not what you really want to be messing with it repeatedly. Once you get it flipped around, you're going to take your seams and just kind of flare them out to get everything even. We're going to set it so that the dark side, for me it's the dark pink side, is out. If you're using a pattern side, you can do a pattern on the outside, plain on the inside. Your fabric choice is really up to you. So we have our basic shape of the mask done then with our adjustable nose piece. So what we're going to do now is the next step that I've kind of added in that wasn't necessarily in her steps, but with my using a paper clip to run my ribbon through, this is something that has helped. So we're going to transition back to the sewing machine, and I'm going to show you right here what all I'm talking about is I run a simple stitch down this part right here. I fold this down so that when I'm threading my paper clip and my ribbon through, it doesn't get hung up in here. If you just fold this over like you're supposed to, it leaves a pocket of this material that you can get hung up in. But what I found is a quick stitch down this will solve that from being an issue, and it takes about an extra 30 seconds to do all 4 stitches because you're not having to be super accurate with it. Make sure that you switch back from a zigzag stitch and switch back to 0 for your stitch width. And you're just going to run a quick stitch down this and back stitch that. And trim that off. Snag the extra string again. Again, I probably have something wrong with my bobbin down there, but I'm just showing you guys how easy it is once you have your sewing machine set up to make this simple mask. we're going to come down here and do the same thing on this underside. Just make sure it's lined up here with this seam. And drop you down. And we're going to run a quick stitch here. Back stitch that and cut it off. Cut off our extra strings on this end. And our extra string on this side. And then we'll work on the other side next. Same basic idea. We're just going to fold down this bottom hem a little bit to give ourselves a little bit better of a seam for when we're running this ribbon through in a second. Again, nothing perfect, nothing crazy as far as like what you're doing. Just a quick straight stitch down that end. Come back around. We're going to do a quick straight stitch down this edge. This is all just to make sure that we can get our ribbon through real easily. It's an extra step. I don't remember seeing it in the directions. It's just something that I ran into that I liked for my own self as far as like getting the masks ready. Okay, so that's all the extra stuff, and now we're going to get back on their steps of what we do next. I'm going to trim this off, and give me 1 second, we're going to trim off our extra strings because we're folding in our masks now to add in the layer of where we put the ribbon. So what you're going to do for this part is you're going to take this little flap of part A, the exterior that was still a little bit bigger, we're going to fold it down, creating a channel here, and we're going to sew it into this right here. You want to make sure that when you sew this, you leave this open. So this part here is going to fold down into here, and you're going to sew it that way. This stays open because what this is going to be an extra pocket for more filter material, and we'll go over that in just a second here. So we're going to get in here and sew this down. Sometimes my material gets a little bit stubborn. I like to just tuck that right along the edge there. Right along the edge of where that's going to be to kind of hide it when it actually does get sewn down. And get as close as you can to the edge here. And you're going to run one more straight stitch that this is going to just be the channel that holds your ribbon or elastic if you have elastic. People have been getting creative. I've seen people recommending tying up some ace bandages or cutting up some ace bandages, people using hair ties for elastic. I'm just sticking with ribbon just because it is what we had. It's readily available. People are not buying up all of the ribbon right now, so it's doing okay as far as like being available to use. And again, I think I just need to rewind my bobbin. I'm towards the end of it and I'm catching extra string on this down side of it. So we got one side done. We're going to trim off our extra thread. Obviously, if you're making this for yourself, you can take a little bit extra time and care. If you're making it to donate somewhere, they really are just okay with it being okay because it is the extra covering. It's not the primary covering. It's to keep the germs off of their N95 extra so that they can use it a little bit longer. If you're using it for you, obviously, you can take your time, make it a little bit more perfect. So we're going to sew one more strip here, and then we're going to do our ribbon. And we want to just make sure that you don't hit that end here with any of your stitches because then you won't be able to get your extra filter in there. Backstitch that a little bit and lift up our needle, and that's going to be it for the sewing part of it. Our mask is completely sewn now. I'm just going to snip off a few of the extra threads. We have one more extra thread here to snip from the start. Again, this is just an average, probably below average, honestly, sewer who I just relearned to sew after years and years of not sewing. And so what we have now is our basic mask, sans ribbon or anything like that. You've got your nose piece up here that is bendable, that will adjust. So next you're going to take your ribbon. I have a 48-inch ribbon pre-cut. We're using black, it's just what we have on hand right now. Take a paper clip and stick it through the edge of your ribbon. The way that you're going to want to do this, from what I've heard from my sister, who is a respiratory therapist, like I said, at the hospital, it is easier for the top part of the ribbon to be permanently just over your head and to tie the bottom half. So to do that the easiest way possible with your ribbon, you're going to go up from the bottom, which this is the bottom. So you're going to take your ribbon, go up from the bottom, feed it through with your paper clip. If you have nimble fingers, this step is super easy. If you have a little bit of more callous fingers, it takes an extra second. You give yourself a good amount of loop there, leave just the tail sticking out. Come back around this side, drop it down from the top towards the bottom. Take out your paper clip. And what you have then is your head strap with your ties, and you have your mask. It is ready to go. Ready to donate, ready to go. If you are donating, please try to use elastic if you can find it. If you are just using this for yourself, obviously ribbon will work because you're going to tie it once to go to the store, and then that's going to be it. It does take a little adjusting if you are using ribbon to get it to be exactly right. But you're going to tie it in a bow behind your head. And once you get that pretty well tied, you can adjust it on your face. As you can see, it does completely cover your nose. It comes around, covers your sides. I have a big face, so it's going to fit most people a little bit better. Also, if you have facial hair, this is why they're telling people with facial hair that have to use N95, so they have to shave because it can get in the way. But again, you're just going to take this and pinch this around here, and there you go. You've got your mask, you're ready to go out in public, you're ready to donate to help out the cause. Like I said, link is in the description on how to use this, or how to get the stencils and everything to get it ready. And I'd love if you guys could help make some masks, keep yourself safe, keep your loved ones safe, donate what you can. These masks are reusable. They're not just a one-time use. If you're using them at home, you really only have to make yourself one, maybe two. Like I said, this is my 5th mask now. It's actually relatively simple to make. We have 5 of them now, and we're going to probably just stop there for now. And we have to get some more ribbon to keep on making it at my house. But once we find more ribbon or elastic, we'll keep on making masks, because today, just during this nap time, I whipped out 3, and that was with 2 of them being on a stream on Mixer, and 1 of them being here for me to put up on YouTube. If you're doing it step by step, where you do all of cutting, all of step A, all of step B, you will get through much faster. So thank you guys for watching. If you like what you saw and you also like game clips, hit that subscribe button to get updates of when I post videos on YouTube. Also follow me on Twitter at thedad419. I'm mainly a video game streamer and content creator. This is something extra that I just felt like we should be doing, to see if we can maybe get some of the people in the gaming community or anyone else that sees this video to help out and be safe. It's definitely a serious thing we're facing, so the more that we can do to stay safe, the better. So I hope you guys are staying safe out there. I hope you're quarantining, keeping a safe distance if you can. If you're an essential employee and you're out working, more prayers to you. I hope that you're staying safe as well. Maybe this mask will help you. Either way, thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button, and we will see you guys next time, probably with some game clips. Everyone have a good day.